So, today I'm going to be talking about my February TBR. I have already chosen my TBR for this month. I do plan in the future on choosing it during the videos that I make, but I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about doing that yet. So at the moment, I've just chosen it for the month, and then I'll come up with something for next month, I hope. So to start off with, my aim, as with last month, is to try and read at least 5 books. I will be including The Goldfinch, so that could count as one of the 5. Depends how far I get through it. Depends how much I enjoy the other books. Ideally, I will be finishing The Goldfinch. I've told myself I have to finish it this month. So that will count as one of my 5. Whether it counts as one of the 5, and then because of that, I've made 6. We will see. I have chosen 5 other books to see if that'll work as well, and I will discuss them with you and why I've chosen those books, and maybe just a bit of a brief thing on where they fit into my goals that I've mentioned. But first, to start off with, in my wrap-up, I told you that I was part of a book challenge that my friend had sent me, and that in this video I would tell you all of the books in the challenge. I will create some sort of post and then post it on my Instagram and the Twitter page, and I will discuss the categories with you now, and I'll also put all of them down below as well. So the first book in the challenge is a cover that is my favourite colour. Now my favourite colour is orange, so I will be choosing a book to do that. Maybe it will be during March, because my book club have also chosen this category as the basis for their next book. If they choose my book, then we'll be doing that. If not, I may just read my book as well. Set in another worldly setting. I don't really know how to do that. I don't really know whether that means it has to be off Earth, or whether it will include another worldly setting such as the magical world, for example Harry Potter, or a dystopian world like the Hunger Games, things like that. I wouldn't use those books as part of that because I've already read them, and I want to include books that I haven't read on this list. But I don't know whether they count as the otherworld category or not. Third one is a book that is 500 plus pages. Now I am going to use The Goldfinch for that. However, if I do venture into a book that is more than 500 pages, I may move over The Goldfinch into my next one, which is actually a Bildungsroman. Now I've mentioned this a couple of times. A Bildungsroman is a book that follows somebody through their formative years, and The Goldfinch will fit quite easily into that as well. So potentially The Goldfinch could move on to that, but for now The Goldfinch is a book that is 500 or more pages. A book published in 2020. I have no idea what I'm going to do for that. I just need to see. I do have an idea actually of what I want to do, because you will see when I post my video that I'm planning on doing in the future of books that are coming out soon that I'm really excited about. I'm actually going to meet the author for one of them. I'll tell you all about that in the future. A book I've had on my shelf but I've never read. I have no idea. I've got nothing for that. Well, I've got so much for that, that's the problem. I don't know what I'm going to choose. I've got everything on my shelf that I've never read. A children or young adult book. Easy. I have quite a lot of them. I do love a young adult, or I did last time I read one. I haven't really read a young adult's book for a while that I'm aware of, other than Peter Pan, and I enjoyed that. So we'll see. A book with a one-word title. Enough said. A book that has been adapted into a film. Now that's simple enough. Quite a lot of books have been adapted into a film. If any of them count, fantastic. A book published over 100 years ago. I've said I want to include Peter Pan in that. It was published in 1904, definitely over 100 years ago. So that's where I'm sticking with that. So that one is crossed off on my list. A friend's choice. I don't really know who I'm going to ask for that. If any of you guys want to post something, give me a recommendation of a book I could use, I am more than happy to class you as a friend and use your choice. So make sure you do that. I'm very interested. 2 books by the same author. So really, it's not a book list of 20, it is 21, because you have to read 2 books by one author. And I feel like, obviously, I'm going to stick with James Patterson for that for myself. Because favourite author, why not? Just gives me more of an excuse to read more. A book with a great first line. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I suppose I'll just read the book and then I'll be like, oh, that's a good first line. I'll use that. But we will see. A book with the number 20 in the title. A book set in the 1920s. A book with more than 20 letters in the title. A book that matches my hobby. My hobby is reading. My hobby is theatre work, things like that. I can't really class mental health as a hobby. That's more my job, so I won't class that. But definitely theatre work, musicals, reading, things like that. They will definitely count as part of my hobby. A book with alliteration in the title. Now, I've no idea what I could use for that at the moment. My friend told me that she decided to use Matchstick Men. Is that what it is? Or Matchstalk Men? I don't know. One of those, but my friend's decided to use that. Sounds quite good, actually, so good for her. I don't know what I'm going to be doing as of yet. I suppose I'll just come across it in future at some point. A book mentioned in another book, a film, or a TV show. I have no idea. I'm not really looking out for books in TV. If I'm watching TV, I'm just looking at TV to not pay attention to anything. A book mentioned in another book, I could potentially do that. I've got to be on the lookout for it, though. It's not something that I'll just naturally see and be like, okay, I'm on it. It's something I'm going to have to really put a lot of attention into. And finally, a book I do not like the cover of. Quite a few books I don't like the cover of, so we will see. So that is the book challenge that my friend gave me. And a lot of my January books fit into that category. 3 of them, to be precise. And my aim was to just do ideally 2 a month. That'll give me some months where I only have to do 1. I got 3 in January. We will see how many I get in this month. So to start off my TBR for February, the first book I'm going to mention is James Patterson, of course. It is a book shot. It is 113 minutes. Again, I have no idea what this is about. Just picked it up at random. I decided to do this because a lot of the books I'm reading this month are actually quite long, and that worries me. I said before, I only tend to get through 2 books a month. January is a bit of an anomaly for me. I hope it continues. So the way I've done that is I've chosen a shorter book to accommodate the longer books. The next book I've chosen, another James Patterson, The People vs. Alex Cross. Now this is part of a series. I don't know what number, maybe I think 27th book in the series. Alex Cross by James Patterson is by far my favourite James Patterson series, my favourite James Patterson character. He's spanned so many books. All of these on the top row, and then a few behind me that you won't be able to see, are him. That is Alex Cross. And they are so well written. They are books that James Patterson writes by himself. He will never have, I hope, a co-author with them. They just stick to just written by him, and they are some of his best work. I have to admit, they really are. And I've chosen to read The People vs. Alex Cross. I think, as I said, it's the 27th in the series. I've chosen to read that because it's where I'm up to in the series, and I want to continue with Alex Cross because more and more books of Alex Cross are coming out and I'm lagging behind, so I decided to get ahead in that. Also, those 2 books I've mentioned will count towards my I want to read at least 1 James Patterson a month. The 113 minutes, I googled it, it is classed as a mystery genre, which I read a fair bit of, so I don't really know if I'm allowed to include that. But my book, The People vs. Alex Cross, will count as my second book in my 2 books by 1 author. So that one will be crossed off. So that is very good. I'm very excited about that. Next, I've already said I'm going to finish this off. I will get through it. I will get to the end of it. I can use it and cross it off. Done. I love the book. I just think I need to get through it now because I don't do long books. It needs to be done. Next, I'm doing a buddy read. I'm very excited. I'm doing a buddy read with a girl that I found on Instagram, or Bookstagram, and she is called Jess, the Bookish Nerd. I will link her in the description below. Please check her out. She is fantastic. But we are buddy reading The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Now, I have no idea what this book is about. I had a bit of a quick Google before. Seems alright, but I have absolutely no idea what it's about. I'm very excited to find out what it's about. Found out, long book. 620 pages. Weren't expecting that. If I get to the end of that book, if I don't like it, I will DNF it. If I get to the end of that book, I will definitely count that as my plus 500 book and then move the Goldfinch into the Bildungsroman. But it will go on my category list should I complete it. And as far as I know, that's a sci-fi book and a romance as well. So a bit of an amalgamation of the two. And if that counts, that definitely counts as books of different genres. I don't really do sci-fi, never have. I don't think I've ever read one sci-fi. If I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. But I'm very excited. So let's see how that goes. My first ever buddy read. But yes, check Jess out. She's fantastic. Some of the books she has read have really made me want to read them just by what she's put on her Instagram page. So please do check her out. And finally, is that it? 1, 2, 3. I've missed books. Ah, yes, I knew I was missing a book. A book that I haven't mentioned yet, is because I don't have a physical copy with me, so I forgot all about it, is Wuthering Heights. I decided to do that. It's a classic. It's a romance. It's a tragedy. There's a lot of things that it could class as, but it's definitely a different genre. I will class classic as a genre, and it is a classic, so I decided to give that a go. That's quite long as well. It's actually 325 pages, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to be reading that on my ebook though, which is why it's long. 325 pages, not that long, but for me, reading on an ebook, not something I do, not something I really enjoy. It's just something I do out of necessity sometimes, and yeah, it's gonna feel like it's gonna be hell. But I can't wait to read it. I'm excited to read it. It's a classic. I don't really do classics, so the fact that I get to read that is very exciting for me. So I will let you know how that goes. And finally, my last book that I'm doing is Carrie. Now this is a combination book. It's 2 books in one. It is Carrie and the Tommyknockers, but I'm just going to read Carrie for now. It's my first ever Stephen King book. It's an old edition, as you can tell. But yes, it's my first ever Stephen King book. I've never read Stephen King before, and I thought, well, I want to do it eventually, so I decided to put that in there. And that's a horror, so that will definitely count. And it could potentially also count as a book that has been adapted into a film, because I think there's been about 15 different versions of Carrie, so it can definitely count, and I'm excited to see how it goes. So really, that's it for my TBR. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Please make sure you check out the link in the description for Jess. Follow her on Instagram. Also check out the link in the description for the book challenge. I'm going to make a post, put it on all of my pages, so that if you want to be involved in that, you can. If you want to let me know any recommendations, comment below. If you want to contact me, feel free. I really want to get to know everyone in the book community. So that's it really from me. I post every Monday, Wednesday and Saturday. See you later.